Hi everyone, welcome to Java Techie. So in this tutorial, we'll understand a real-world challenge in asynchronous microservice architecture, which often gets ignored but can break your system if not handled correctly. Imagine this: you have two microservices and they are doing async communication using Kafka. Now let's say service A send a message to the Kafka and return a success response instantly. But what if service B, the consumer, failed to process that message? Now the question here, since it is asynchronous communication, service A already returned a static response to the user, but how will the user know if the request was actually processed successfully or it's failed later in service B? That's interesting, isn't it? So let's break it down with a real-time use case. Imagine you have two microservices, loan service where user can apply for a loan, credit risk service who does background check before approving the loan. Now let's say a user submit a loan application. Now what happened next? Loan service receive the request, assign the loan status to pending at initial step, and then it store into the database and publish a loan application event to Kafka and immediately send the response back to the user saying that we have received your loan application and your credit check in progress or something like that, some meaningful messages. Okay. Now, if a user want to check the status, he can simply call the get API, which will currently give the status as a pending, because at first step we store the loan status as a pending in loan service itself, right? Next, the credit check service consume the event and do some validation like checking the user credit score or CIBIL score check. But since this is an asynchronous call, it does not send any direct response back to the loan service, indicating whether the user credit score is good or bad, right? And that's where the real challenge begins. How can the credit check service update the loan status so that loan service can accurately display it to the end user? Well, there are three practical solutions to this problem. Let's explore them one by one. So first approach, directly update loan service database. In credit check service, you can directly access the loan service database and update the loan status. This looks very simple, isn't it? But hold on. This approach violates a core principle of microservice architecture. So it's a bad idea if you mix up the database call in microservice architecture. While this solution might work technically, however, it's not a recommended solution in proper microservice environment. The next approach, you can directly update the loan status using REST API call. In this approach, we'll define an update status endpoint in loan service, which credit check service can simply call to update the loan status. How simple is this? Unnecessary you are spending too much time, isn't it? Do the simple REST call, your job is done, right? But let's pause and think for a moment. What if the loan service is temporarily unavailable or unstable when the credit check service try to make the REST call? Or what if in the future multiple services also need to update the loan status? Will each of them make separate REST call? I don't think this is the solution. Rather, this opens the door to several challenges. It will definitely increase the network traffic and you will also experience higher latency, isn't it? So while the solution is easy to implement, it's not always the most resilient or scalable approach in an asynchronous microservice architecture. Now understand the third approach, update status using Kafka event. So in this approach, what we can do, once credit check is done, let credit risk service publish that event to Kafka and loan service consume that and update the status directly in the database based on the result whether it is approved or rejected. Now if you observe in this setup, the credit risk service act as the producer to send the credit decision event whether it is approved or rejected. The loan service act as a consumer who update who will update the loan status asynchronously in database. And the main thing to consider, this pattern follows proper event-driven architecture principles, and it helps to build a system which will be faster, resilient, loose-coupled, and free from common microservice anti-patterns. Now, whenever a user checks their loan status by the loan service, they will get the most accurate and up-to-date result, right? Because already the loan status will be updated in the loan service by consuming the event from credit check service. I hope this is clear for you. If yes, let's try to replicate the same scenario in action. So without any further delay, let's get started. So first, let me walk you through the basic setup what we already have. I have created a loan service, and if you observe in the loan service, I have defined an endpoint called process the loan, and this is the request which will be taking loan ID, user ID, amount, and loan status, then loan transaction ID. This loan ID will be auto generated, user ID and amount you need to pass, status initially will set as a pending, and this will also dynamically generate. Okay, now if you check the service class, this is the simple code, guys. This code only contains the first part where loan service publish the event to the Kafka and credit check service consume it and then do the background check. Till that point we have the code. Then we will just apply the solution by writing a fresh code. Okay. Now if you see the loan service process loan application method, initially we are setting the loan status as a pending and we are generating a transaction ID by using UUID. Then we are saving the record to the database in the loan DB with the status pending. Then simply we are publishing one Kafka event. Okay. Now once we publish the Kafka event, it will goes to the credit risk service. Now in credit risk service I have defined a consumer. What this consumer does, it will simply consume the event. You can see the log statement. Once it consumes the event, it will evaluate the credit risk. So I have defined a static method, hard coded method to evaluate the credit risk for a user. Now if you observe here, I have defined a map of user or credit score map. This is the user ID. This is the credit score or CIBIL score. Okay. Now based on user ID, it will fetch from map and it will check if the credit score is less than 750, then he is not eligible to get that loan amount. Okay. So I'm just throwing some message saying that your credit score is too low. Fine. This is the simple scenario we have. In success, I am just capturing the log. If there is any failure, I am just capturing the log. Now let's test it out. Then we'll understand what is the problem and we'll go for the solution. So to start these two applications, first you need to start your Kafka setup, Zookeeper and Kafka server, which is already up and running for me. And I also started these two services, loan service and credit check service. Now what I'll do, I'll just open the Swagger document. Now here you can see the two methods, right? One for apply the loan, second one is to check your loan status. Now let's say user want to apply the loan. Let's say loan ID will be auto generated. I'm not giving it. Then user ID, I'll give something like which is there in my map, credit score map. If you'll check here, I have 101 with the valid score. This guy is also valid score. 202 and 2362 is having the problem on credit score. Okay. So first try with the success scenario. Just give this one. Then amount, let's say I want to apply loan for 10 lakh. Status you no need to give in anything. It will be set behind the scene. Transaction ID will be also auto generated in code. Now these are the two inputs you need to pass. Click on execute. Instantly you get the message. Loan application received, credit check in progress, transaction ID is this. Okay. Now let's try to understand the flow. Go to the loan service. If you open the console of loan service, what it does, if you see here, loan application event published to Kafka to this particular topic for loan ID equal to this. Okay, loan ID will be auto generated because that is what will be stored in my DB. You can see the first record inserted and it generates the load ID. That is what you are seeing in the message. Now this loan service publish the event. Now let's check the credit risk service. Now if you observe here, what it does, it receives the loan application event, the entire payload I am capturing as part of the log. Okay, this is what the input we have given, 101 and 10 lakh. Fine. Next, it evaluates the credit risk and here is the result. Credit risk check passed for user ID 101. Okay. Now let's try for a failure scenario. Let me clear everything. Click on execute. Again, instantly we are returning the message to the end user saying that okay, we received your application and background check is in progress. Now if we'll check the DB, we got the second record of amount this is the transaction ID, see the status, observe it. Okay, for user ID 202. Now check the flow. Go to the credit risk. What it does, it simply not credit risk. First go to the loan service. It simply publish the event. Loan application event published to the Kafka. This is the topic and this is the loan ID. Now go to the credit risk service. What it does, it receives the loan application event, the entire payload. Then it evaluates the credit check, but somehow it is failed for user ID 202. But being a user, now if I will try to check my loan status, let me go to the get API. I'll just give the loan ID. Let's say first loan ID which is succeeded, that is 1. What is the status I am seeing here? Pending, right? Let me try for the failure one. For failure one also I am getting pending. Even though the credit risk service evaluate the status and mark it as a failed, it is not able to populate or return that result back to the loan service. That is the reason we are getting the problem. Now whenever user will come and check the status, he will always get the pending. He will never know whether it is approved or rejected. Now it's whose responsibility to update the things? This guy, credit risk service. Okay. So if you observe here, in consumer, we have success scenario and we have failure scenario. On success, this guy needs to update. On failure also, he need to update. Correct? Now, how we can update? We already understand 3 solutions, right? Now, if you observe here, first one is directly update the loan service DB, which is not the recommended at all. Next, do the REST call to loan service update status. Define a update status endpoint in loan service and just do the REST call. But again, that is having lot many problems. Then the third solution, what do you understand? Once credit check is done, let credit check service update the status whether it is approved or rejected. Correct? How he will update? Through the Kafka. Now let's do that setup in the credit check service. Now meanwhile, let me show you both the event what we have received in Kafka. Okay. So this is the topic we have, loan process topic. We got these two messages which published by the loan service and consumed by credit check service. Now we'll do the reverse one. Credit check service will publish the event, who will produce the event, and loan service will consume that. Okay. Both the service here acting as a producer and consumer. Fine. Now let's start implementing producer logic in credit check service. So what we can do here, at very first step, let me define a new event called credit decision event. Now if you see the field here, loan ID, user ID and status, whether it is approved or not, and message. If there is any failure, what is the message? Now let's build this particular event on success and failure. So can I do something like this? What is that? Credit decision event, right? Credit decision event dot builder dot build, and I can set the value one by one, right? it will be true because on success in try block we are building this particular object. Then message, you can copy this. Okay. Now same thing I'll do here as well in the catch block. Just do here. Make it false. Just define the message ex.get message. We can do like this. Now define the variable. But rather than duplicate the code, can't I move this to a private method? You can define the method name. All good here, right? We created this particular method. Better what I'll do, I'll just return it. Then capture this value. And you can also define here. This is the basic thing, guys. This is core Java what I'm doing here now. Even you no need to define these two variable. You can let's do that. Just define a global variable saying that credit check result. Then you can assign the same variable to both. So we are good this point. We receive the request, the event, then we evaluate the credit risk. Based on the result, we create a decision event, credit decision event. Now our next step to publish that event. So to publish that, I need to first inject the Kafka here. Then just use this Kafka and pass this particular object. What is the topic name you want to publish the message? You can keep it something like credit decision topic. What is the data you want to send? This one. Do the same thing for this. You can also move this to a constant, or you can define this in your config file. Okay, fine. So either you can create this topic manually, or we can use the same logic what we have in loan service to create the topic and assign the partition. Now create a package. Now here what we are doing, we are just using the predefined library from the Kafka and we are creating a new topic by giving the topic name. So I don't want this, I can directly hardcode at this moment. What is the topic we are creating? This one, right? Just copy this. I want to create this topic and number of partition is this, replica is this. Now using this bean, we are asking to Spring, hey, create this topic for me. I don't want to execute it manually using terminal. You create it for me. Okay, all good till this point. Now this guy consumer consume the event and do the credit risk evaluation and find the result and build the message published to the Kafka. This part, the producer part is done. Now we need to start writing the consumer part. But before that, since we are sending the object as a result to Kafka, what you can do, go to application.yml. You need to send the serialization, key value serialization for producer. Okay, key serializer is string. For value, we are using JSON serializer because we are returning the object. All good. Now let's start writing this consumer implementation in loan service who will consume to the credit decision event. Okay, so better let me copy this event. Now go to the service. Let me close everything. Okay, you no need to confuse. I will share the source code link in video description. I will give the GitHub link. You can refer to it. It's just a simple code. We are just doing producer and consumer in both the application to make the thing simple and asynchronous to not break any flow. Okay. Now in service, I will create a consumer class. I will name it credit annotate at the red service. I also want to annotate SL4J for logging. Now what this class will do? It will simply consume the credit decision event, this particular event, and update the database. That's the simple task this particular listener will do. Now let me define a method, consume credit decision event, and update the loan status or anything you can define. Now how you can mark a method as a consumer in Kafka? Just define @Kafka listener. Now here just define what is your topic name, which topic you are consuming. If you remember, this is the topic, we are producing message from the credit risk service. So my loan service must need to consume to or listen to that particular topic, correct? And you can define the group ID, anything you can define. Now what is the first step here? Get the event. You will get the event directly here. So just log the statement first, so that we can get the confirmation that this particular consumer received the event from credit check service. It received the event. From where it will receive the event? This is the event, right? Method must have the argument what it will consume. All good? We got the event. Now once we got the event, what we can do? First get the current loan status. Then based on this decision event, we will update them. Okay. So first what I can do, I need to inject the repository here. Give the loan ID. It will give you the current loan object. Okay. So why it is giving this one? Okay. So yeah, this will return the optional. You can check or else give me the null. Then you can have the null check. Now what is the current loan status you will find? You will always find the pending. See here the flow. At first step, when loan service publish the event, it marks the status as a pending. Then request consumed by credit check service, it evaluates the credit score and produce the event saying that okay, status is approved or rejected. Those things we are consuming here and we are going to update that to the DB. That is a simple thing. Now since you have the loan object with you, check if loan not equal to null. If database having the loan object reference, then check if event is approved. Then simply update that to the DB. Loan dot set status. Okay. Then you can add a log statement for better visibility. Log dot info. You can give some meaningful message. You can define this loan ID marked as approved, proceeding with the disbursement logic. This is the loan ID. Now else set the loan dot status to rejected. Okay. Here also you can add some log statement dot info and you can pass something saying that it's rejected, no further action required. Okay. Now once you have evaluate whether it is approved or not, what you can do? Simply update the repository dot save loan object. That's it. It's simple, right? Simply consume the event, get the current status. Based on the event status, whether it is approved or not, just update the loan status to the DB directly. Now who is doing this update? This update is done by the loan service because loan service has full authority to access its database because microservice follows database per service pattern. Now if I'll do the same thing in credit risk service, that is the wrong approach. That is what the first one we have discussed, right? And we concluded with the third one, which is the best solution we found. Now what we can do, let's quickly test this and we'll see the result whether things are getting updated or not. Let me restart both the application. Now if you see the loan service, this is also up and running. It also started listening to the credit decision topic. Let me clear everything. Understand the flow correctly. This looks very simple and there is no rocket science in the code also, but let's test it out. So go to the Swagger, then try for 101. That is the success scenario, right? This guy having the valid credit score, so it should succeed. Now try for the bigger number, 50 lakh. Okay. Now let me send the request. We got the result. Loan application received and the status is in progress for credit check. Now try to understand the flow, then we'll validate the DV and Kafka event. Go to the loan service. We got some error. Okay, message conversion exception, I understand. Go to the loan service application.yml, because this guy will also now act as a consumer, right? Just uncomment this piece of configuration. Restart the loan application. It started. Clear everything. Go to the Swagger. Retrigger the request. It will have the entry in DV. Don't consider it. Just ignore till the third point. Okay. Our thing is not implemented correctly. Still we are seeing the pending. Now let's try observing from fourth entry. Again I will go to the Swagger and I will give, let's say, 80 lakh for 101. Execute the request. Loan application received, credit check in progress. Go to the first loan service. See the statement here. Okay, loan application send the event to this particular topic, loan process topic, loan ID 4. Now let's check the credit risk service. What credit risk service does? See here. First, it received the loan application event. Okay, it received the loan application event, then it did the credit risk check. Once credit risk check is done, it published the Kafka event. Somehow we missed to add the log statement here. We could add a log statement here to check, saying that something like this. On success and on failure, you can add the log statement saying that you can do that modification. I am not going to change it and restart the code. You can do that. Okay, saying that no, this will be info, right? So that you can track the flow correctly. I have missed it, but you must try it. Okay, so that is fine. It's not important. We can validate in the database as well. Now let's, this guy, what this consumer does, it consume the event and publish it, but we cannot see the publish statement since we don't have the log statement here. That's fine. Go to the loan service now. What loan service does, see here, loan service consume the credit decision event. Can you see here? What is the event? Loan ID 4, user ID 101, status is approved because 101 user having the valid credit score. Credit risk check pass. This is the message. And we are simply updating the DV. Now let's go and track the Kafka message first. Okay. First let me refresh this. You should see another topic. Can you see here? Now loan process topic. This record. This is the fourth record. Who sent it? Loan service published to credit check service or credit risk service. Now credit risk service processed that and he published to this credit decision topic. Now if you see here, check for this guy. Loan ID 4, user ID 101, status approved and credit risk check passed. Again, this guy will be consumed by our loan service and update the DV. Check whether DV is updated or not. Can you see here? Updated. Now if user want to check his loan status, he know what is his loan ID, which is 4. He can simply trigger, you got the result approved. Now let's try for the failure scenario. Let's take 2 not 2. Salvi, better let me restart this, okay? At least we can see the log. You won't be get confused to understand the flow. It started. Clear all the console in both loan and credit risk service. Go to the browser. Let's try for 90. Execute the request. Instantly we are sending response to the user saying that okay, we received it and this is what the status. Now go to the loan service. What loan service does? It simply publish the event to Kafka to this particular topic so that this risk service will consume it. Okay, somewhere you will find, yeah. What is the message? Let's filter because there are so many logs. Received loan application, something like that. Okay, we have this value. Received loan application event for loan ID 5. These things. What he does? He simply evaluate the credit score. Then once he evaluate the credit score, what it got, the status is 340. I mean the credit score is too low, which is 340. Now what it does immediately, it publish the event. Can you see here? Credit risk service publish event this. Now once it publish the event, again loan service will consume that. Now if you see here, this is what the loan service consume. Credit decision event for loan ID 5, user ID 202, approved is false because it is having very low credit score. Can you see here the message? Now what it does, it simply update the DV saying that okay, what is the status? I reject your form loan application. Are we getting the correct appropriate loan status value based on the action taken by our credit risk service? Now if user want to check the loan status, he can simply pass his loan ID. Okay, I applied for it. Now if when I am checking it, okay, it is rejected. Now why it is rejected? If you want to populate that value, you can also do that. Just add a message in your response in approve and in failure. Or also you can create a audit table to track the status and just display when user asks for the reason. Okay, there are different way you can also play with that. Fine, this is how you can handle failure in event driven architecture, and I believe what we have tried that makes sense. Okay, just give a try and let me know in a comment section if you have any doubts, and also try to figure out this flow falls under which design pattern. Just comment me the design pattern name.